Thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Budget phones have been a pretty big deal this year. I mean, there's been a ton of them that have come out and they're all pretty good, honestly. But really the one that I think has gotten the most attention is the Pixel 4a, and with good reason. I mean, it's a great phone. But the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to sit with it, get some really good experience with this, because there's a lot that goes into this phone and most of it actually doesn't really have anything to do with this phone. So I've been using the Pixel 4a for a little over a month now, and let's just get it out of the way. It's the best budget phone that you can buy, pretty much. I mean, you really have to categorize what's important for you in really any phone, and then there's the certain devices that do best in that one area. If you want performance, okay, you're gonna wanna get the iPhone SE. If you want camera, something that's important to me, well, the Pixel is the one. If you want design, something like the OnePlus Nord. I mean, there's tons of options, like I said, that are really good these days. But for what Google has kind of set out and claimed their mission to be with the Pixel, I think the 4a does it the best, honestly, and that's kind of surprising. When I think of Google, I don't think hardware necessarily, even though that's a big part of it these days. I think software, as I think many people do. And for years now, Google has been trying to really push themselves into that hardware game. But really, and the more you think about it, every time, what are they really trying to do? They're trying to just get you to use their software. And the 4a accomplishes that. I mean, right off the bat, when you pick it up, it feels like probably the most utilitarian phone that I've used in a long time, maybe even ever. I mean, there's no fluff, there's no frills. This is just a phone. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's something I actually enjoy. There's nothing you have to think about here. There's no real choices you have to make. It just is what it is. And I like that in a device personally. For me, I realize the more phones that I use and the more that come out, that the hardware, you know, it's great. It's fun to get new stuff and actually experience it. But at the end of the day, it's really about what you're doing on the phone. So as long as the hardware doesn't get in the way of what I'm trying to do, well, I count that as a pass. And I think the 4a does that pretty well. And part of that probably comes down to just the times we're living in. Now in 2020, you can get great parts for a phone that are excellent performing but aren't that expensive. That's why you can get a $350 phone with an OLED display that goes edge to edge. It has a cutout just like a $1,000 flagship. I mean, on the face, if you took the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 4a and showed it to someone who knows absolutely nothing about phones, I'd bet most people would think the Pixel 4a is actually the nicer, cooler phone just because of the form factor. And again, you look at the screen here and it doesn't take away from the experience at all. It's not fancy with 120 hertz or even 90 hertz. It doesn't get super bright. I mean, it's not the best screen out there, but you go back to that perspective of how much you paid for it, and it's impressive. I actually set mine up in kind of this dark mode. It matches with the entire aesthetic of the phone, and it's just cool. The OLED display lets you do that without getting light bleed like an LCD. But when I need to, I have vibrant colors that are bright and great to look at. It's a home run all around. You can't talk about a Pixel device without addressing the camera. And just like many of the other Pixel devices in the past few years, this one performs extremely well. The more I use this camera, the more I realize it's basically the same camera as the Pixel 4, which is a good thing. You only have the single lens here, so you don't have the telephoto option, which I'm okay with. I haven't really noticed it too much, honestly, in practice. And I'm not sure where the change came, or even if there was a change at all, but it seems like the competition, in an attempt to catch up, has started making their photos more contrasty, more vibrant, more punchy, while the Pixel has stayed the same, and it kind of looks a little more flat, a little more neutral now, and I actually like that look. It does a great job of processing what needs to be processed and kind of leaving everything else alone so that you get a good looking image. And one area that just excels with the Pixel line is night sight, and that's no different here. Another area where you can tell this is basically just the same camera as the Pixel 4. I mean, astrophotography on a $350 phone doesn't seem like it should be possible, but I mean, I took this with the Pixel 4a with no effort, took 4 minutes, and that was it. I mean, the fact that you can get this on a device like this, I mean, 2020 has its issues, but the fact that this is possible now is crazy. One area that the Pixel's always bashed on, or at least it's not the best performer, is video. And I still think that's the case, but the more I use it, the more I actually appreciate it, and I think it's actually kind of good. To prove that video is not that bad, this all is being shot with the Pixel 4a, and it gives us a perfect excuse to not only show off the camera, but also talk about this video's sponsor, Magic Spoon. One thing that I haven't really eaten lately is cereal. As much as I can, I try not to eat any sugar or junk food, but now with Magic Spoon you can, but it's guilt-free. So the main benefits here are it's cereal, but it has 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, it's only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving, and a total of 110 calories. But even though it doesn't have all the bad stuff in it, you're not sacrificing on taste and really just experience. It comes in 4 flavors, cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry, and it honestly, surprisingly, tastes great. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb. I mean, anything free you can think of, Magic Spoon basically has it. So if you want to try this, and you definitely should, check out the link down in the description and use the promo code MattG, and that'll get you free shipping on your order. And you can pick up the variety pack so you can try all of the flavors and pick which one's your favorite. And don't worry, Magic Spoon is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for whatever reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So go ahead and give it a taste, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. At this point, I'm getting a little confused because the more I use this phone, the more I just don't understand why this is so good while the Pixel 4, the big brother, the flagship, is so the same. Like, the more I use these phones together to just compare, they do the same things. I mean, yes, the Pixel 4 has a more powerful processor than the Pixel 4a, but still runs Instagram, Twitter, social media, YouTube. I mean, really anything you want to do, just fine on the Pixel 4a. It has 120 gigabytes of storage. It has things like a headphone jack that you don't get on the flagship. And it runs the latest version of Android. I just updated it to Android 11. And that's where I start to question what the point of the Pixel line is anymore. Because if you can get this quality, and again, basically the same quality as what you get on the flagship, that's around $1,000, what is Google trying to accomplish here? And I think it goes back to they want you to use their services and their software. Makes sense. And because of that, I think it just enforces the fact that this is the phone Google should be making. They should iterate on this instead of trying to play that high-end game, because I'm still using Gmail, I'm still using YouTube, I'm still using Android on this phone, and I'm not complaining about it. It's accomplishing what I think Google's goal is. And the Pixel has always been a phone I recommend for those looking to get into the Android ecosystem because it gets, I think, the best software. It gets updates, it has an excellent camera, it performs well. It checks all the boxes that for an average consumer, a normal person that just wants a phone that works and works as good as possible, the Pixel line does that. So now for $350, I can recommend that same experience to even more people. So I'm still a little confused here. I mean, yes, this phone is great. If you're looking at getting one, just do it. Don't even think about it. It's gonna be an excellent experience. But from Google's perspective, I'm still not sure what their whole deal with the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4a line is going to be. I just don't know it yet. And honestly, I think Google doesn't know either. They love to do A/B testing, and if it works this year, they'll do it again next year. If it doesn't, they'll take it away. We have seen that countless times. But what we have learned about the 4a and just the A line in general is that this works, and Google, just do more of this.